So this week is exciting for many reasons, but it also taught me a really important lesson that I want to share with you, and that is start before you're ready. So for example, what happened this week, which I got so excited by, was I made 3 sales at $50 each for the content repurposing system that I've been building with Airtable and Make.com. When I got started, I had no idea I'd be selling it. It was never the intention. The intention was to help my pet care business, which, by the way, we actually did $90,000 in revenue last month, and I worked 1 day a week or less. But I can still tell you that those 3 sales at $50 are way more exciting for me right now, which I'm just pumped about. But what we have available right now of these no-code tools with these AI models is absolutely game-changing when it comes to online business. And as I've really been leaning into that, I realize that I'm really only just touching the surface. And I'm probably the most experienced out of all of the entrepreneurs in my circle, at least, with these particular tools. And I have no doubt in my mind right now that building multi-7, 8, even 9-figure companies will be possible with just one person and maybe a couple of contractors. Absolutely is going to happen over the next couple of years as these AI tools become better. So I'm not going to talk about the content repurposing system in this particular video. This is more of a motivational and a life experience one where I want to give you a few other scenarios where I started before I was ready, because I find that people get so held up in wanting to know all of the details, all of the next steps before they actually take their first step. It doesn't work like that. And let me show you this video here as well, because this is how I got prompted by this. So I was talking about Airtable AI versus OpenAI versus Anthropic. And this comment here popped up, which is if you're doing a ton of AI work, there's an extension that integrates with GPT and it's way cheaper than Airtable's version. Firstly, for the first time ever, I did actually hire a couple of consultants before I started building this out, which I normally don't do. I normally just try and figure it out. But I have learned over the years that it's best to pay somebody who's a few steps ahead of you so that you can accelerate that path. None of them actually mentioned about extension. And then I got another one with the same type of comment, which is you could use data fetch to connect into these AI models as well. Again, that's something as an extension I didn't know about. And this is what prompted me to say that I actually got started before I was really ready in order to start creating this. But then again, taking it a deeper level is after I did look at data fetch and some of these other tools, I realized that they really only connect in with OpenAI. They don't connect in with Claude. And Claude has become my main large language model to use right now for copywriting. But what those comments did accomplish is that it allowed me to rethink the entire dashboard again and figure out a much easier way for people who are buying the template to actually implement that in a much faster way. So the point is this, you just need to get started before you're ready, and you'll continue to figure out better ways as you get more experience. Kind of like putting together a jigsaw puzzle. You have so many different pieces that you need to put in the right place, and you're not going to try and figure out every single piece before you get started. You're going to start connecting one piece at a time, and that's kind of how all of this works. So the point of this video is to actually share some more examples of how I started before I was ready, because I find this is what holds so many people up in actually getting started and in achieving their dreams. So I want to show you how many mistakes and how many times that I've made this mistake over the years so that hopefully you won't have to make so many mistakes and hold yourself back so long. So it was around about, I believe, 2016, 2015, something like that. I started this online summit called the Fasting Summit. And this was actually the first big hit that I got when it came to online business. Before this, I did a couple of other summits. They had anywhere from a few hundred to a couple of thousand people registered, making less than $10,000, let's say. But once I did the Fasting Summit, I started getting momentum. I think the first launch we did about 50,000, and then we kept doing it a couple more times. And the highest one we did about $80,000 to $90,000 in revenue for that particular summit. And we were able to get all of the biggest and best fasting experts in the world, all the best doctors, people who had created Netflix documentaries, New York Times bestsellers, you name it. Anyone who was at the top of their game with fasting, even people like James Clear before he blew up as well. They talked on our summits. And I did this after fasting. I did 1 juice fast and 2 weeks of intermittent fasting. And I just decided that I was going to be the expert interviewer now for this particular topic. Like the audacity of somebody like me when I was in my 20s to say, okay, I am now the expert in fasting and I'm going to interview all these other experts as well. I should not have been doing that. I was not ready, but it paid off. It allowed me to live in Bali for a little while. It allowed me to travel to Peru. It allowed me to move all around and live in different cities around Australia. It was because I planted my flag and said, I'm going to get started before I'm actually ready, before I'm qualified. And then I built a business model that supported that as well. So that was the first time that I did that. The next time was when I started running Facebook ads for clients. So this would have been just after the Fasting Summit, maybe 2017, 2018, something like that. And I'd barely spent $50,000 to $70,000 on my own summits over the years. And I decided I had an opportunity with a group in a virtual summit group that I was in to become like the resident Facebook ads person for launching virtual summits. I had no processes. I barely spent $70,000, but I was like, yes, I am the Facebook ads expert. I've done it for my one summit. I've got a good return for my one summit. Of course, I can help you as well. And I started before I was ready. Now, fortunately, that paid off for me. I'd got great results and became pretty trusted in that. But it was, again, I started before I was ready. I didn't really have the qualifications. I could go on with more of these stories, but I have had so many now. And I think it's because I just dive in and figure it out. And I'm basically building the parachute on the way down as I jump out of the plane. That's a huge determining factor of somebody who's going to be successful. Now, the mistakes that I made at that time was not leaning into the advice from those who were more experienced than me, who I was around. I've been around a lot of really great entrepreneurs for probably 6-7 years now, and I haven't taken full advantage of that. I actually went to an event last night, and the event was all about all of the biggest mistakes that you've made in your entrepreneur career. And the guy that I was speaking to, he said this same thing. He said, in my early 20s, I didn't lean into the advice of good quality entrepreneurs around me, and that cost him personally $300,000 in a tax bill that he could have avoided. And I was like, man, you're right. I've been around a lot of really great people. One guy in particular I can think of right now, his current company is worth $200-300 million. I met him when I was doing the Fasting Summit and never lent into that relationship like I should have. And he wanted to help. What I find most more experienced entrepreneurs want to help. I'm sharing these advice on YouTube because I want to help. I have so many friends that reach out to me and say, hey, Mitch, I've got this business. I want to get this product off the ground. How can we do the marketing? And I just dive in with my friends and help them out as much as I can because I love it and because I want to see them succeed as well. The other big mistake I made was not doing enough consulting before I got started on something new. And I tried to do that this time with the Airtable and Make.com stuff. And it accelerated my learning curve a whole lot faster than what I could have done on my own, even though they did leave out the stuff about the extensions. But doing a little bit of consulting up front, and I find that a lot of the time online courses miss the mark. They give you a good general understanding. I've paid for a couple of courses from these big content creators, and they're too general for someone who wants to move quickly that you do need that one-on-one. However, the flip side of that is I've actually paid $10,000 for 30 days of messenger chat with this one coach who was highly respected, hundreds of testimonials, and it was listening to that advice that actually caused our business to go completely off track and we nearly lost the business. So it's hard to figure out who is a consultant that is somebody that you can trust, who can point you in the right direction, because there's so many people out there that either don't care or they've got so many clients that they don't need to care, or that they just purely don't know. They've figured it out this one way that works for their own brand only, and they decide to become a consultant. It's like basically every social media manager that you can see online. But doing a little bit of consulting up front, and honestly, I find the best people to consult with are the ones in the dirt doing the thing every single day. They're in the trenches. That's what I did this time. I paid a couple of guys on Upwork who are in the trenches building stuff every single day, not someone that's doing just strategy alone. There's time and place for people doing just strategy alone, but if you want to pick up a new concept fast, they need to be in the trenches every single day. I hope that was helpful. I just wanted to share something a little bit different today. The reason why I'm sharing this is because I've not made a video all week as well. And the reason for that is because I'm in the middle of recording a full tutorial of the content repurposing system that I'm going to put on YouTube for free. And it's going to go for somewhere between 2 to 3 hours. So you'll get the entire dashboard, how it's built, all of the different things. If you want to buy the template, that'll be available as well to shortcut your time. But my commitment moving forward is to do these really in-depth, long-form, educational, tutorial type of videos that are essentially more valuable than a lot of the courses that you can purchase. That's my goal. See you in the next one.